Welcome to Hiring America, the television series that helps military veterans find jobs and transition into meaningful careers. I'm Mary Snow. Today we're coming to you from the Home Depot headquarters in Atlanta, where I'm moderating a panel discussion between 3 Home Depot business leaders who are military veterans and representatives of Student Veterans of America chapters from nearly 30 universities and colleges across the region. It's part of their leadership series where students visit military-friendly corporate partners around the country and get the opportunity to network and learn about hiring opportunities and career advice. Now, let's get started and meet our panel. Joining me here is Jabarr Bean. Jabarr is Senior Director of Operations for the Western Division of the Home Depot and a U.S. Marine veteran. Debbie McKinley, Senior Director of Human Resources at the Home Depot, also a U.S. Marine veteran and a retired major in the Marine Reserves. Mark Becker, VP of Merchandising for Home Depot's Millwork. Mark is also a U.S. Army veteran. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're glad to have you here. And I wanted to just start off by asking you, when you were in the military, about to exit, did you know exactly what you were going to do?
I had no idea what I was going to do, to be honest with you. I think I knew that I wanted to be within a business community. Felt like my leadership skills, the skills that I have attained when I was in the Marine Corps, translated to an organization. I just didn't know what that organization was. But I had a friend who actually worked for Home Depot at the time, and he said, hey, this is a great organization with great values, very similar to what we were accustomed to in the Marine Corps. So I filled out the application, did the interview, actually fell in love with the culture of the organization and the values that Home Depot had, because it really kind of aligned with not only my personal values, but the values that I was really familiar with as a Marine.
Debbie, did you know what you wanted to do?
I, like Jabarr, I had no idea. And I actually was shopping in a Home Depot store. It was a Home Expo at the time up in Reston, Virginia, and was approached by someone in the store. And I was wearing a United States Naval Academy sweatshirt, and he asked me if I was in the military, and I said, I am, I'm a Marine, and I wasn't even considering or hadn't firmly decided on transitioning. And he said, listen, if you're thinking about transitioning and you're interested in learning business and you're interested in leading people, please consider checking out the Home Depot and go on our website and read up on it. And that night applied, and 3 days later, got a call.
And Mark, how about you?
So mine's a little different because I went into the military straight from high school. And so when I was exiting the military, there was a really big decision on whether I stay or whether I get out. And so I exited the military as a sergeant, went to college, got a 4-year degree, and then had a number of jobs out of school. I actually have an accounting degree, and I came in our accounting department. Then I went into a store leadership program and spent 2 years in our stores. Then I went into supply chain, went into inventory planning and replenishment, which is how we replenish our stores. So just kept going to different areas within the company, and then was fortunate enough to get into merchandising.
But what were some of the challenges, though, as you made that transition?
There was a change in my leadership style when I transitioned into the civilian world, where you had to provide a different level of inspiration and motivation for people.
We often call that around here influencing without authority. So we measure, in the military, you have the authority, you tell someone to do it, they have to do it. Here, the people that rise through our ranks are the ones that can influence other groups within this building without having the authority over those groups.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big change. So I understood leadership, but it certainly, I had to morph my style into the organization to kind of lead and inspire in a different way. But the mission and trying to accomplish a mission and the esprit de corps and the camaraderie amongst the team, all of that was very, very similar.
Can you give me specific examples of skills that you gained in the military that helped you in your career, or there are days now when you go back to your time in the military and say, I could solve this issue with what I learned in the military?
Definitely teamwork. So I don't know of a single person at Home Depot that has been promoted or has got to a certain level that didn't say, really, it wasn't about me, it was the team that surrounded me. And that's from the military.
Debbie?
Two for me, one is speedy decision making. And this is a very fast-paced environment. And to be able to absorb information and make very speedy decisions is definitely something that has carried over for me. And then the second one for me is just being maniacal about priorities.
I'd say the thing for me would be patience. So I was an infantryman. There was a lot of sitting around and waiting. So that patience has helped me kind of deal with situations here within the organization. The other thing I'd probably add to that is just the competitive spirit. You know, as a Marine, you want to be the best.
And as Senior Director of Human Resources, what advice would you give people who are considering leaving the military, going into civilian life? What skills should they play out?
The first piece of advice I would give, employers hire for skills and they promote for leadership. So everybody will say to me, I have great leadership, I've led this many Marines, I've led this many soldiers, I've been in these situations. What's interesting is you have to sit down with someone who's in the civilian workforce and really have them take a hard look at your resume and have them translate the skills for what the terminology is in the civilian world, because we use different words, but also to take that leadership piece that we like to emphasize in the military and translate that into what it really means. Is it decision making? Is it priorities? Is it the ability to manage a project? Is it people leadership skills and results-driven, results-oriented outcomes? Rather than just stating the leadership piece, it's really about pulling the skills out of your experience and being able to talk to an employer about skills. And so like our military skills translator on our website, anyone can use that. You don't have to be coming to the Home Depot. You don't have to be, it's not just for applying to us. You can go on our website and use it, plug in what it is that you do in the service, and it'll spit back out for you what that phrase is in civilian speak. And then we do mission transition, where we'll, in our stores, have workshops where folks can come to our stores and learn about the Home Depot, about the culture, about us as employers, but even beyond that, learn how to go to civilian interviews. Interviewing skills are wildly important. When you're sitting in front of somebody, you have about 2 minutes to make them understand that you're somebody that they have to have in their organization.
We'll be back with more from the Home Depot in a moment.
I was wondering if you actively seek out hiring veterans, and if so, what value do you guys place upon their military service?
The answer I would say is absolutely, we do. We try to make sure we have the partnerships both in Washington and with the different branches to make sure they know we're a veteran-friendly company. Our acquisition team has done a magnificent job of figuring out how to get out into the communities and interact with, whether it's Student Veterans of America, the Veterans Empowerment Organization, and several others, where we can go in and help folks, one, understand our culture and who we are, but we also can just simply help people transition. And what we value at that work ethic, that ability to kind of have that competitive spirit, that curiosity, it kind of comes natural with folks who have served, because it's what you have to have within you to be successful in the military. And then the willingness to learn and adapt.
The military has told us that you were provided the skill set that you'd be successful at Home Depot. It's your part during an interview to articulate why you're the better candidate than someone else. But everything that the military has taught you, based on what we see and who performs well within Home Depot, the skill sets are similar.
I've been out like 8 years, and I still feel like I'm transitioning to kind of translate the things that I've done in the military to, corporate or civilian. How does one get in front of you guys with these certain skill sets that may not, like as you spoke of, translate well?
I think there's a combination of ways. Keep your eye out, keep your ears out. We advertise them when we have our military career fairs. I do think those are probably an optimum way to get in front of somebody, to talk to them about how to translate your skills or what value you can bring to the organization. And then for us, I think a very popular method that we use is truly networking with people from our organization. So, there's many people like us. There's 3 of us sitting here, but lots of veterans within our organization. Get to know them, have lunch with them, talk to them about what that looks like. So as you've applied to an organization and you're transitioning, just make sure you go in and reapply every 30 to 45 days, because that keeps you fresh in the hopper, so to speak. And then, of course, what you're going for is as soon as you get that call, that's the screen interview. And from the screen interview all the way through is where you've got to be ready and on point to shout out those skills and that value you can bring.
You've been talking about values at Home Depot and how much of a part of this company it is for you. Tell me a little bit about that in the workforce and how it plays out.
We have 8 core values, and I certainly can rattle all of them off, but you know, some of the ones that certainly kind of stick close to me are giving back to the community, because I realize that I wouldn't have the opportunity that I have today if someone didn't invest in me. And so it's important in my position today to do all that I can to support the community that I live and work in.
And tell us a little bit about that. Tell us what you do.
Absolutely. Home Depot has an associate-led volunteer force called Team Depot. We look to provide support not only to our community, but more importantly to veterans, ensuring that most veterans who are deployed come back to a safe home. And so those efforts are really important to me, because I mean, when you do those projects and you see the impact that you're able to make as an organization, but more importantly, the impact that you're able to have on a veteran, there's no better feeling to be a part of an organization who's willing to do that.
One question probably on the minds of many people here is balancing when you're an active member of the military, if you're also working as you did,
Yes.
Debbie, right, for the first
years.
12 years.
Yeah.
How did you make that balance?
The great thing about Home Depot is we're extremely military friendly. As a reservist, I was drilling on the weekends. I would have short deployments now and then throughout the year, a few longer deployments. But we are extremely open and willing to help our reserve folks. We have at any given time 1,000 associates on active duty serving, mostly in combat situations. So we have a lot of associates that come and go. We have tons of reservists. So our kind of bylaws and our HR regulations and all those kinds of things support it, as companies should.
We'll be back with more from the Home Depot in a moment.
My question is, what type of jobs does the Home Depot offer for veterans?
We have veterans who come in and work for us part-time as cashiers and garden associates. We have department supervisors who are our entry-level managers. It's a great way to learn the organization. And I think an advantage we all have is that we worked, at some point in our career, we worked in stores. But you don't have to go that route. This building, as well as our regional and district teams, there's everything from asset protection. So any MPs in the room or anybody who's had military police experience, HR, right? So we have the people organization that helps our leaders be great leaders at all times. If you think about the number of transactions, the amount of kind of just Wi-Fi bandwidth in our stores that's required to use our Home Depot app when you're shopping us. So there's an IT branch. There's the merchants who, very cool, right? They get to bring us the stuff we buy, and then there's all the money folks. So there's finance, accounting, logistics too.
Yeah.
Logistics is monstrous. So going from China
Interconnected retail, marketing, advertising, consumer insights, trying to understand why consumers shop. Being a veteran, we believe you'll be more successful at the Home Depot in any role.
Yeah. So it's really about your interest.
Let's say someone doesn't have a specific skill, let's say in technology, but has other skills in the military.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get a job where you don't have the specific skill set, but they have other skills that might help them learn quickly?
A lot of the skill sets, look, Mark's done a lot of jobs, Debbie's done a lot of jobs, I have as well. I didn't necessarily have the skill sets that I particularly needed to be successful, but I was willing to learn those skills.
I mean, I'm a merchant, and there's no college or training that teaches you how to be a merchant. So we're not out there hiring, for that skill set. You're in human resource,
That's
so,
crazy. I'm a Marine.
Yeah, you're running 496 stores on the Western Division, so you may not have the specific skills to get you that position, but you definitely can get into the Home Depot somewhere and then navigate back to that ultimate goal.
Yep.
And our favorite phrase is learning agility. So if you're very learning agile, and if you can emphasize that in the interview, they're going to appreciate that, okay, here's somebody who learned a skill and then continued to learn. And that's something we seek out, internal and external.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to leave it there, and you have to get back to your jobs. And please join me in thanking our panelists this morning.